They call themselves whole women's health, but shouldn't they be like partial women's health? Like, how could they call themselves whole women's health when they're only protecting one life out of two? And welcome back to Real News Michiana's weekly Real News Roundup. I'm your host, Ben, and this bearded vigilante. To the right of your screen is Clifton French. She is none other than the editor and founder of Real News Michiana. How's it going, man? Good morning.
Hey, it's going really well. How you been, Ben?
Ben has been okay. Yeah, doing okay. I had a good portion of the week off and living life.
There we go, brother.
So, hey, before we get started, though, if you really want this real news coming to you, issues that actually affect you personally, you got to subscribe to our channel. So, below this screen here, you'll see a link, realnewsmichiana.com. Become a subscriber. That's how we keep the real news coming straight to you. Also, share this video and comment below and just smash that like button because that's what we need to get the word out. The first news, the first story we're going to talk about, the South Bend Abortion Clinic. They call themselves Whole Woman's Health. They're going to, I guess, have a surgical abortion this week. For those who don't know, they're supposed to be a pill-only abortion clinic. Themselves Whole Woman's Health, but shouldn't they be like partial women's health? If you're being technical, like how could they call themselves Whole Woman's Health when they're only protecting one life out of two?
Yeah, well, I mean, and on top of
that, they're not really protecting any life. Let's be honest.
No, I mean, here's the thing: when anybody says, we're pro-choice and all that, and women's rights, and when it comes to abortion, the only thing that happens in abortion is somebody dies. That's it. So, Ben, right now, Whole Women's Health, they are a pill-only clinic. But they are trying to expand into surgical abortions, right? So I uncovered all these documents. All this stuff has been done in secret, in coordination with the state. They've been hiding all of this information from state and local elected officials, from national elected officials. So all of these elected officials, including Jackie Walorski herself, have been requesting information regarding what's going on at this clinic for a very long time. And they've been hiding. This clinic continues to hide all that information. And the state has not provided any of these people who we elected. So the unelected bureaucrats are hiding this information from the people we actually put in charge to do all of this stuff, right? And to have our best interest in mind. The unelected bureaucrats are controlling all of this. So this clinic has been trying to open up this surgical or expand into surgery, into doing these surgical abortions when they were only allowed to do pills up to 10 weeks. They want to expand into early term surgical abortions, I think up to 13 and a half weeks, because that's when you have to, at that point, do surgery. And they're just trying to continue to move on and on and on. Governor Holcomb has helped them out. They were unlicensed. And Governor Holcomb decided to just give them a license.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. If you don't mind, I want to touch on that a little bit because we've talked about this a few times. And Comrade Chancellor Holcomb has actually been propping them up.
Yeah,
he's been propping them up. They wouldn't actually be able to exist if it wasn't for our Chancellor, Comrade Holcomb, who's actually helping them out.
Yeah, and so essentially, a federal judge, the state of Indiana said, "Hey, listen, we're not going to give you a license because of X, Y, and Z. Right? This is not a good organization. They're in other states. They have a bad reputation." They sued a federal judge who is an activist, in their own right. Said, "Hey, you need to while this is going through all the legal processes." You need to give them a provisional license, okay? Governor Holcomb just randomly decided, you know what? I'm going to give them a full license, even though they've been operating on this provisional license forever. Well, that gave them the ability then to say, okay, great, we're fully licensed now, and what we're going to do is expand services, all because of Governor Holcomb, all because of his decisions. So that's what they're doing right now. However, There was an inspection. I'm told there was an inspection done on the facility, and there were some issues. I don't know what those issues are, but the Department of Health finally got back to me after I wrote this story and said that they're not able to expand yet. The inspection was done. They're putting together their report. And so Whole Women's Health is going to have to do some stuff to their facility before they're able to become a surgical abortion clinic. And then that still has to get approved through the state. So there are several things that still need to be done. And we have some stuff going through the Supreme Court right now. So hopefully all of that will stop, these plans and Governor Holcomb's plans to kill Hoosier babies.
Tax-funded petty. Mm-hmm. Democrat employees at the voter registration separate themselves with boxes used for sensitive voter data. Get into this one, Clifton, because we're surely not talking about what was the most free and fair election on the planet in the history of our country.
So, Ben, well, okay, this is a pattern of issues within that office. This is the voter registration office in charge of our elections, in charge of your voter registration, in charge of disposing old voter registrations, purging the voter rolls of deceased people and people who have moved. It is the most dysfunctional office in the entire county. It is insane. All right. So what you have is just this pattern of behavior there. And everybody has had office drama. Everybody has had that kind of thing. The only reason that this is a story is because of this pattern and what they do with your taxpayer dollars. So these two women are both Democrats. They're both Democrat employees of the office, right? And they got into, according to my sources, a hissy fit after Aisha Avance, she is the woman up front in the picture that was up there earlier. Yep. Aisha Avance was using the printers to your county dollars and your county printer to print off documents for a convicted felon who was fighting a protection order, who was a friend of hers, right?
Never heard of that guy before.
Yeah. So she was using all of that, and in court, the other woman who was peeking her head over this box wall that was built, she had reported that she witnessed this woman doing that, right? So this woman, Aisha Avance, then spends your taxpayer days, your taxpayer dollars building this wall of boxes so she doesn't have to look at this woman. Now, what I am told is that she approached multiple people and asking what was being done with these boxes, if she could use them. Then she said, I never want to see that B word, that effing B word ever again. And their desks are right next to each other. So she built this. But I want to say that this woman was also involved in sharing naked pictures of dead people in that office with Mr. Venato Malone of Justice for Michiana. She participated in that sharing of those photos. That office also, another Democrat employee in that office wrote or made a fake voter registration card in the lead up to the 2020 election. It was a joke. It was lots of vagina. So the name of the person was Lots of Vagina, lives on Swallow Lane. Now, still,
I shouldn't be laughing at this, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
Still, you're creating a fake voter registration card in what was already considered like, hey, listen, there could be fraud, there could be this, there could be that, right? And you're just willy-nilly messing around playing with these voter registration cards, right? The Democrat chair, so the Democrat boss of that office, is currently involved in a sexual harassment lawsuit that's been dragging on for a while for sexually harassing a Republican subordinate. And his predecessor, who is now a big wig in the Democrat Party nationally, right? Nationally. Her name's Ariel Brandy. She I did an investigation that uncovered massive fraud within her, time card fraud, ghost employment, all of that within that office that started a state police investigation. So this is this is just insanity in that office. Every single time that they sneeze wrong and waste your tax dollars, I'm going to report on it That's it.
Well, thank you for reporting on it again. I'm sure there'll be another story next week.
Oh, that place needs, they need a clean house in that place. These people are crazy.
There's some stellar government employees, Clifton. If you say anything else, you're a white supremacist QAnon insurrectionist.
Oh, of course I am.
On to the next story. Okay, so some hilarious parent ripped into the school board at PHM about CRT transparency.
Oh, man.
I don't know who the hell that was. I couldn't tell you.
Ben, this game courtesy of you.
What?
Oh my God!
You don't say. You don't say. Yeah, I all I did, is I held a mirror up to them and said, "Look, I agree with you. You've been right. I've been wrong all these months." And apparently, I really pissed off some members of that school board. From the parents that were in the room, they told me they were pissed. And you know what? Good. If their own policies or make them uncomfortable, be uncomfortable and then do something about it. That's the way I see it.
I think right now we need to play that entire clip. It's pretty short.
Let's go. I just want to start off by saying you all were right, and I have been wrong the entire time. Okay, our kids are really your kids. They belong to the state, not the parents. Thank you for allowing us to clothe, feed, nurture, and mentor our children. SEL, culturally relevant learning, critical race theory. Those are all good things, peeps. Again, you were all right. Thank you for training our kids to be politically correct, proper little Marxists. The more future Democrat voters that you all can create, the better off we'll all be. Honestly, what has Joe Biden done since he's been in office? Things have gotten pretty good under him. Things are pretty good right now, honestly. Thanks to his Department of Education, my 3 biracial kids are now going to think that their future potential is limited to their ethnicity. Hey, that's a good thing in today's world, right? So last month, I requested that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office give a monthly update on any curriculum that has been removed or added and why. Nobody listened to me as usual, and nor should you have. My mind has been changed. I digress. As I've learned from so many teachers union members and Democrat parents throughout the months, month after month, teachers are actually above transparency. They just need to be blindly trusted and supported. Never mind that pilots, doctors, lawyers, nurses, police officers, fast food workers, factory workers, Uber drivers, garbage men, and pretty much every other industry on the planet is either linked to and forced to have transparency. That doesn't matter because teachers nowadays, I guess they're above that. So I'm going to end things with this. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Mr. Turnwald, Mr. Riley, and Ms. Roach for making me see the error in my ways and it's expanding cosmetic diversity throughout the entire school. Good night, comrades. Yeah, so basically what you saw was, I've been going to these school board meetings for months, okay? Ever since, I think, September, October. I've been speaking.
It's actually, this whole thing is how you and I kind of got hooked up.
It is because I'm actually new to this county. Last year was my first year here with my 3 kids. They're going to the school. They're biracial, by the way. Not that matters, but it was part of my speech, and it was, for a good reason. So one of my friends follows Clifton on Real News Michiana and sent me some of the links about the CRT. They're peddling the tenets of CRT. They're peddling in these schools. So I started questioning the principals of the schools that my kids go to. I got these generic politician type responses. We don't teach CRT curriculum, but we do. But then they added, we do practice inclusion, diversity, and equity.
Yeah. Well, Ben,
I said, wait a minute. I said, I didn't ask about all that. I said, do you teach CRT? And they stopped responding to me. And then I started going to these meetings, courtesy of Clifton's information that he gave me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could inspire you there, Ben. But I think that's a perfect segue into my story that I did today.
Let's go for it. On to the next story. Niles Principal, once again, defends teaching CRT to kids while denying they're teaching CRT. Now, this guy, we've talked about him before. This guy is a clown, okay, an absolute clown show of a human being.
Okay, so I'm going to break this down to you. A parent said, "Oh, wow, I went to a school board meeting. You guys claimed you weren't teaching CRT to kids. I have a document that my kid brought home that proves you're showing CRT to kids. Why did you lie to me?" He then responds to her and says, "Well, it's not CRT because LGBTQIA+. That's his argument.
Right.
So the whole thing is, so here's the deal. This goes back to a story I had done actually before about this microaggressions lesson in Niles High School, right? So this parent says, "When I attended this school board meeting last August, I brought up my concern of CRT being taught in the school. One of the board members said they will not be teaching it. I would like to know why I was lied to." The article says allegedly, my article, because all I had was this document. I had some sources telling me, but I didn't have everything, right? And because I was being stonewalled by the school. So it says this article says allegedly, but I have a photo from that class this week because her child is in that class. I would like to know what action the school will be taking toward the teacher that is teaching this to Niles students. And this was a lesson on microaggressions, right? Microaggressions are critical race theory. It's a tenet of critical race theory. Literally, the Encyclopedia Britannica links the two. They describe critical race theory. And one of the basic tenets of critical race theory is microaggressions. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of scholarly articles about critical race theory and microaggressions. So microaggressions are a core part of this. Critical race theory says, hey, all the institutions that we have were put together and are inherently racist, right? And microaggressions are everybody says and does things unconsciously or consciously, right, that are racist, right? Essentially saying the institutions are racist because the people are racist. And these two go hand in hand. You have to believe one, you can't believe one without believing the other. And that's how they coexist. That's how you're able to do this kind of thing. And you're able to convince young minds that everything is racist for this critical race theory. However, Jaron Blood here goes on to respond to this parent with an insane response. He goes, while critical race theory emphasizes the idea that racism is inherently embedded in our laws and institutions, the definition of a microaggression is a, quote, statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group. Exactly what I just described. However, Blood says these marginalized groups could be a variety of people of color, people in the LGBTQIA plus community, women, senior citizens, and people with disabilities. So because LGBTQIA, it's not critical race theory.
So it sounds like this Jaron Blood is like the valedictorian of Jen Psaki's school of gaslighting. Okay,
it's gaslighting. This is masterclass in gaslighting.
This is masterclass. I mean, it is. This guy, he must believe the parents are unbelievably dumb.
Oh, and he lists a bunch of Michigan State standards saying everything that we're doing falls within these standards. So essentially, here's the bird. If you want to talk and meet more, we can meet up.
Yeah, we can meet up. I'd like to meet up with them.
Nah, I don't think.
Let's have an interview. Jaron Blood, let's talk. Let's talk about critical race theory, microaggressions.
Yeah,
I'd love to meet up with this guy. So I'd love to hear. I would invite him to do an interview with us. I could send him a link. He'd come right on in.
You want to put some money on if it happens?
And on to our final story, because this is a more serious story about the county commissioner submits a resignation letter amid allegations of sexual harassment.
Yeah. So Deb Fleming, a longtime county commissioner, a longtime staple in the community, honestly has done a lot of good things for the county. She submits this strange retirement dash leave of absence letter, but she doesn't put any effective dates or anything in there. It's just bizarre. Raised a bunch of questions, started digging around, found that there had been these allegations of sexual harassment. It's just sad. Deb responded with a really strange text message to me talking about it appears like an OBGYN appointment. It's just bizarre. Personally, I think that there's more than likely some other stuff going on here. But this is a sad situation. I hope everything kind of works its way out. This is a story I had to, it's a story. I'm a journalist. I like her. I like Deb. I think she's done a lot of good stuff for the community. But I got to do my job too. So, I'll get that elephant out of the room real quick right there.
Well, Deb, if she's listening, we wish you all the best.
Yeah, I know.
We wish you all the best. And it's sad to hear this happened, and hopefully she can find some balance and get back to herself. I hope everything's okay with her. She's done a lot for the community, and Godspeed to you, Deborah. Godspeed. Anything else, bud?
No, I think that's it, man.
And that concludes Real News Michiana's weekly Real News Roundup. And as always, stay informed, folks.